One day after making awful joke about the president, Stephen Colbert comes forward with shocking announcement. Stephen Colbert responded Wednesday to the online backlash and #Fire Colbert internet campaign that cropped up after he made insult-laden jokes about President Trump. Colbert will open his show Wednesday night by saying, "Welcome to the Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Still? I am still the host? I'm still the host." According to an advance transcript provided to USA Today. Colbert slammed the president for abruptly walking out of CBS's Face the Nation host John Dickerson's interview, after the reporter pressed Trump about his claims that President Obama wiretapped him. Both Colbert and Dickerson are CBS employees, as well as friends. "Now, if you saw my monologue Monday, you know that I was a little upset at Donald Trump for insulting a friend of mine," Colbert will say Wednesday. "So at the end of that monologue, I had a few choice insults for the president in return. I don't regret that. He, I believe, can take care of himself. I have jokes, he has the launch codes. So, it's a fair fight." Colbert came under fire for his harsh rant, as well as for a comment many say is homophobic. "Sir, you attract more skinheads than free Rogaine," Colbert said in his Monday opening monologue. "You have more people marching against you than cancer. You talk like a sign language gorilla that got hit in the head. In fact, the only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's CK holster." While he did not directly apologize, he admits he could have used different wording to describe what the president's mouth is good for, according to the Wednesday night transcript. "While I would do it again, I would change a few words that were cruder than they needed to be," he said. "I'm not going to repeat the phrase, but I just want to say for the record, life is short, and anyone who expresses their love for another person, in their own way, is to me an American hero. I think we can all agree on that. I hope even the president and I can agree on that. Nothing else. But, that." According to USA Today, Colbert will welcome the Big Bang Theory actor Jim Parsons to his show and discuss the controversy. Petition, fire Colbert for his disgusting remarks about President Trump. Share this story if you think Stephen Colbert should be fired. Be fired. Breaking, Trump announces how he'll celebrate National Day of Prayer. Did you support? President Trump has invited religious leaders from across the country to visit the White House for the National Day of Prayer. It is expected that he will use the occasion to sign an executive order on religious freedom. Via Politico. The controversial order was spearheaded by Vice President Mike Pence, who attempted to draft similar legislation as the governor of Indiana. The order is expected to abate fears of Christian Trump supporters after the recent spending bill did not change the funding for Planned Parenthood. The Nation obtained an early leaked version of the executive order and published it online. They described the bill as legalizing discrimination. The executive order provides major protections for private individuals and nonprofits, preventing them from being forced to provide services they disagree with on a religious basis. Americans and their religious organizations will not be coerced by the federal government into participating in activities that violate their conscience, reads a portion of the leaked order. The White House claimed that the leaked version of the order was one of many drafts. The order is still being reworked and President Trump is expected to sign the final version soon. The purpose of the order is to provide protection to churches and private charities. For example, churches will be allowed to refuse to hold marriage services for gay people, or adoption charities can prevent same-sex couples from adopting. The usual suspects, such as the UCLA, have come out against the order and plan to sue the White House for discrimination. It is true that the executive order will make discrimination legal, but it is discrimination by private groups and not the federal government. It is simply un-American for the federal government to force citizens into behavior they find reprehensible. It is not the role of government to regulate morality, and no one should be forced to bake a cake. Did you support this executive order? Please share the story on Facebook and tell us what you think, because we want to hear your voice. OMG. After CBS reporter tried to embarrass Trump in Oval Office, Watch all hell break loose. President Trump was interviewed by John Dickerson in the White House yesterday and things got heated. Dickerson, who is a typical liberal reporter, hosts Face the Nation on CBS, and so Trump already had to be on edge. Then, things took turn when Trump brilliantly told Dickerson that he calls the show to face the nation. Nearing the end of the interview, in the Oval Office, the CBS reporter went way over the line. Dickerson asked Trump if he still thinks Obama wiretapped him, and Trump said he thought this was obvious. Dickerson kept asking for evidence, even though Trump has already presented it, so President Trump ended the interview and walked to his desk, kicking the reporter out of the Oval Office. Could you imagine if a reporter was this disrespectful to Obama in the White House? Watch this and share on Facebook if you stand with Trump against the lying liberal media. Here is the clip where Trump insulted Dickerson's show, telling him that he calls it to face the nation. Well, your show. I love your show. I call it to face the nation. But, you know, your show is sometimes not exactly correct. Wow. Call Guinness. Trump just broke world record. This list will shock and amaze you. World record achievements, world record pace. President Donald J. Trump just accomplished more in his first 100 days than Barack Hussein Obama did in 8 years. Positive accomplishments, that is. Obama set numerous world records for negative accomplishments that will never be broken. Another, Obama would destroy the republic, but that's another article for another day. Here are some of President Trump's outstanding achievements. President Donald J. Trump's first month, achieving results for the American people. Via whitehouse.gov. President Trump's 100 days of security and safety. We're going to make our country safe again. And we are going to make our country great again. President Donald J. Trump. Putting America first, protecting national security. President Donald J. Trump's top priority is the security of the American people and the American homeland. President Trump has prioritized rebuilding and empowering the military to restore national security. During his first 100 days, the president has advocated increasing the defense budget by $54 billion to end the devastating effects of the sequestration that has persisted for years. Empowered commanders in the field to make decisions. Saved hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars by negotiating with defense contractors. President Trump has stood up to countries that have threatened our national security after years of failed diplomacy. During his first 100 days, the president has sent a message to the world with his swift and decisive order to strike the Syrian airbase that launched a horrific chemical weapons attack on innocent civilians. Further isolated Syria and Russia at the United Nations through successful diplomacy with President Xi Jinping of China. Impose sanctions on Syria for its use of chemical weapons against innocent civilians. Impose sanctions on Iran for violating an international agreement that restricts its ballistic missile programs. Work to isolate North Korea and reposition military assets to confront the regime's provocative missile tests. America First diplomacy. President Trump has rebuilt America's standing in the world and forged stronger ties with our allies. President Trump has actively reached out to world leaders to advance American interests and build relationships. During his first 100 days, President Trump has made 70 calls to 38 different world leaders. Hosted 17 bilateral meetings with world leaders. President Trump negotiated with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to free American charity worker Raya Hijazi, her husband, and 4 other humanitarian workers. Share this article of You Are Proud of President Trump. The crooked liberal media will hide the truth and lie at every opportunity. Restoring law and order to America's immigration system. President Trump has made restoring order to America's borders and immigration a cornerstone of his agenda. President Trump's actions have dramatically affected illegal immigration. Southern border crossings are at a 17-year low. Illegal crossings on the southern border have fallen by 61% since January. President Trump is following through on his promise to the American people by building a wall on the southern border. President Trump signed an executive order to establish initial funding for the border wall's construction. Received hundreds of bids for the construction of the wall. President Trump is taking action to make sure immigration laws are enforced across the country. President Trump directed withholding of certain funds from several jurisdictions that do not comply with immigration laws. Prioritized criminal immigration enforcement, including ending catch and release. Directed the hiring of 10,000 immigration and customs enforcement officers and agents and 5,000 Customs and Border Patrol agents. Under President Trump's direction, the Department of Justice is hiring more immigration judges to address the backlog in immigration courts. As hiring takes place, existing judges are being reassigned to 12 priority cities to expedite processing. Restoring public safety to American communities. President Trump has been steadfast in his approach to addressing our nation's most pressing public safety issues. President Trump directed a comprehensive approach to tackle transnational criminal organizations and international drug traffickers, including the cartels that plague the southern border. President Trump ordered the formation of a task force aimed at reducing violent crime that has spiked in recent years. President Trump is restoring law enforcement's faith that they are protected under the law by prosecuting those who threaten law enforcement officers. A promise to make America safe again. President Trump promised that the safety and security of the American people was a top priority in his mission to make America great again. Then candidate Donald Trump. We're going to make our country safe again. And we are going to make our country great again. Politicians have failed in their duty to secure our borders and enforce our laws. Let's fix this problem. Let's secure our border. The military, we are going to make bigger, stronger. We need a strong military. Share this article of You Are Proud of President Trump. The crooked liberal media will hide the truth and lie at every opportunity. Additional actions. Jumpstarting job creation. President Trump is looking out for American workers that Washington has